that's when we just honestly threw up our hands. And it's when I stopped being scrappy and I stopped trying to fix things. And that's when everything just shifted. I think we handed it all over to God or whatever you believe in. We handed it over to God and we were like, we're done. We have nothing left to give here.
Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Down the Well. I'm your host, Elle Rowley, and today we have a special guest. Her name is Chelsea Etheridge. I'm a big fan of Chelsea. She actually had me on her podcast a few months ago called Not Young. Is your podcast, is it the same name as the company?
It's Not Young, Better.
So good. So good. Okay, we're going to talk all things perimenopause today. I think it was Leanne Morgan that made a joke that menopause is the new birth story, and you're having babies. And when you get with other women, you just talk about, what your birth story was like.
It's
and now
so
it's
accurate.
Full on, right? Now it's full on, just what symptoms are you having? So I am really excited to get into this. Chelsea has a company that focuses on the perimenopausal stage of life with an amazing supplement. So Chelsea, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. This is so exciting.
Thank you for being here. Okay, so let's just go from the beginning here. Why did you choose to create a brand around this stage of life? What was going on for you?
So it's a long story, and I'm just going to tell it to you as a long story. A few years ago, my dad was this incredible, renowned naturopath. And he had supplements and he ran a health food store. He was just an amazing man and healer and human. And he passed away really suddenly on Valentine's Day. And that was kind of the shift for me. When you can look back at your lives and be like, this is where everything changed. And that was the day for me. And after his passing, when you're still just trying to do all the things and deal with the grief, we just kept getting people reaching out to us that were like, I need these products. This changed my life. How do I get this? And so as a family, we decided, let's try to sell these. Let's bring these back.
These were not perimenopause supplements, right?
No, this was acid reflux, kidney stones, matters that are important, but not things that I was personally connected to. But we kind of started this e-commerce brand of his, and it was a legacy company. And at the time, I had 5 kids. I was a stay-at-home mom, homeschooling. So I was just helping when I could. And then my husband was a tree climber. He would help out when he could. And we're all kind of doing the best we could. And so one day he came home from work and was just tired. He laid down to rest and didn't really get back up again. He was just almost bedridden from that time forward. It was really confusing. And we had to go to doctors and get tests and ended up finding out it was kind of a chronic form of leukemia. It's very rare. In fact, the doctor we were working with had never had a patient with it. He had happened to read an article about it and was able to, he had that in his head to be able to get this diagnosis. So we got kind of lucky in that. So then everything needed to shift again. He was obviously not capable to go climb trees anymore.
Sorry, how old were your kids at this point?
I'm thinking our youngest was probably 4 or 5 at the time, and our oldest would have been about 13 or 14.
You're in it.
I was in it, in the thick of it. It was really difficult. And so, we decided we'd flip. He'd stay at home and do the homeschooling and the running about, and I would go, we needed to provide for our family, so I would go work at this supplement company. And I found that I really liked it. It was really hard for me. I was clinging to that motherhood role so much. That was my identity. That's who I was, So to give that up was so difficult. But as I started stepping into this role and learning and doing these other things, I found that I was good at it and I liked it. So it's kind of one of those blessings in disguise. Like I never would have stepped into any of this were it not for these things like forcing my hand.
Can I just say right there, I think that was, you just told such a perfect down the well story of like, you were thrown down into an unknown land overnight. Like that had to be so overwhelming, so dark in its own way. You had to confront your identity, all these things that you thought you knew about yourself, the things that you wanted to hold on, and you were forced into this like rebirth. But it's so cool how you said like, I mean, you just stayed open to it. I love those 3 principles of like open-heartedness, humility, and curiosity. Like clearly that was your approach. And so then you came back with these treasures of like, whoa, I'm actually really good at this. Like this wasn't how I planned it, but I trusted or like surrendered to the process on some level.
Yeah.
And then like I don't know, it's just really cool.
Thank you. So yeah, and I was doing that for a little bit. And then my own body just was like, you're out, like you're done. I feel like when I tell this story, like if someone was asking me my perimenopause, I would say it happened overnight. And I've had experts on my podcast who are like, women say it happens overnight, but it doesn't. And I can see that. Like I can look at it realistically and see that it didn't happen overnight, but it feels like it does. It feels like 1 minute you were something and the next you're not. And that's how I felt. Like my anxiety was just getting out of hand, just not what I was used to. I was having like depressive thoughts that scared me that I hadn't ever had before. The exhaustion, like even just talking about that time, I can feel like the exhaustion that I was feeling like in my bones. And then I started like having swelling and inflammation, and I was gaining weight, mainly around my like midsection, but also like my back and the arms, like just where you're like feeling so gross. So me being who I am, I'm a fixer, I'm a doer, you know? I'm like, let me fix this. So went on a diet, worked out more. Yeah, started reading all the books, and it just felt like every little thing I would try to do just made things worse. So I ended up being like, well, I'm going to go see this naturopath. I'd worked with her with our supplement company. She had been an advisor. She specialized in women's hormones, and I just loved her. So I went to her and she did all the testing, and she came back and was like, you're in perimenopause. And I was like, I don't even know what that is.
And how old were you then?
I was 40. I had just turned 40. So it was just not something that had ever occurred to me. I had no grid for that. Like I just didn't even understand it. But that really sparked something in me. Like if this could happen to me where you just literally are dealing with all of this and you have no idea that this is even a thing, like this has to be happening to other women. And so, yeah, I just started researching more, and it just became a passion. It really did. And at the time we were starting to sell the majority of my dad's company. And I thought, this is where I get to take all those beautiful things that he left me, but take it to a place that I'm at and who I am now in the season of life I'm in, and build something that I think matters. So that's how I got into it.
That's beautiful. What a cool story of like, yeah, kind of integration there. Like you had to go out on your own, and then you're able to bring that back with your dad's story. That's really amazing. So then what's going on with your symptoms at this point?
Yeah, so she put me on a protocol, and I had been taking them for probably 3 or 4 months. This is before ever being like, I'm going to start a perimenopause company. I was just taking them while I was going, but it was like 8 supplements. It was not easy to keep up, and it was expensive. And so I knew, okay, like I can do this. Other women need this. So I just asked her, like, do you want to work with me and put this into something that women can use and to take into one supplement? Like no one can keep this up.
Yeah.
And so I worked with her, and then I worked with a chemist, and I had all this other knowledge from running this company before. So I knew how to work with manufacturers. I knew how to get a product formulated. I also knew how to do it really well. Like I knew how to push to get no fillers and to get no junk, and I knew how to source to get the best herbs. So there was almost a part of me that was like, this is so outside of my comfort zone, but if I'm not going to do it, who is? What will I do? Like, what will other women like me get to do? Like, I knew that I could make something that mattered and that could really help women.
What was the test that you took to find out that you were in perimenopause? I think that's something a lot of women are like, well, we're all just kind of guessing that we are, or, we're all just assuming that we are, I think now.
Yeah. And I think that is how mainly it is. Like, it's a clinical diagnosis, right? Like, you're basing it off of symptoms. And so that's what she did. She had me turn in blood work. So she checked that out. But mainly she listened to me. She listened to everything that I'd been feeling. She asked questions. She got curious. And then together she was like, okay, I know what this is. I've seen this before in other women. Like, that's what she specializes in. So I think that just really helped, having someone who knew enough about it. Like, that's what she does. She's passionate about it. So she can recognize when I say, like, this is how I'm feeling. She can start to put those pieces together for me. So I would say, like, pay attention to what you're feeling. I think for myself and probably a lot of other women, we are not paying attention to what we're feeling. It is the literal last thing on our list. Like, we are busy, probably busier than we've ever been at this phase of life, because it's coming at us from all sides. So you kind of just get into this rhythm and you just are surviving and you're moving and you're going and your symptoms are there. Like, you're having them, you're noticing them, but just like, who cares? Like, who has the time for that, So I would say, like, pay attention. Like, your body is trying to tell you something. If you're feeling these symptoms, like, notice them and then notice that perimenopause, like this season, it doesn't just have to happen to you. Like, there's a lot you can do, and you can take, like, agency over that season and what you want it to look like and be like. So there's a lot of options. You can go the HRT route, you can go the natural route. There's a lot you can do. I think it's just making sure that you pay attention to your body and your health, and then get the help that you think is best for you.
I love that. What would you say, like, top 3 most consistent symptoms you see?
That is so hard, because I do not see consistent symptoms, even from, like, all my customers and the women in the community. Like, I'm not seeing it. I know everyone talks about the hot flashes, but I haven't ever had a hot flash. And so many women that I connect with haven't either. So it's just this, like, range, this wide range of symptoms. And I think that that's the best thing you can do, is really, like, front load your education, get research, know, like, what am I looking out for? When I'm feeling this, what could that be? And start to really take note of that. For me, it was all the things I mentioned, plus night sweats. That was something I was dealing with, and I do hear a lot about that.
How do you define perimenopause? And over what time span does it usually range?
Okay, so perimenopause is the phase of life before menopause. And menopause is actually marked just by the one day that marks a year that you have not had a cycle. And perimenopause is everything that happens before that. So it's just kind of a misconception. I think we've been calling it menopause, but that's just something you think of that happens so much later and when you're older. But really, I think what we're thinking of in our heads is perimenopause. And so that's when you start to have all the symptoms. And that can start, honestly, as early as 37 and can last 10 to 12 years.
Wow. Okay. So now we're at the point where you're formulating this product, you're working with this doctor. Then where do you go from there, and what's happening with your own perimenopause stage?
So I had started to feel a lot better at that point. So I was a big believer in what we were doing, and that that it could work. So yeah, I just kept going. I worked with an incredible designer. She's still like one of my favorite humans. And together we built all the branding and, designed everything, which I think is magic. Named it, which I do get some flack about the name Not Young, which I think it's funny. I was trying to be a little kitschy about it. And so I really liked just this idea of like, yeah, I'm not young and I am not trying to go back to anything that I was before. Like I have no interest in going back to who I was at any previous date. I'm only looking to evolve and get better and grow from here. So I really liked the idea of just like stating what it was.
Can I jump in right there? That is kind of where I think our worlds collide in a great way. And that we both talk about letting go of maidenhood, of like this younger, single woman, whatever, earlier energy that's all about unlimited potential and choices and not commitment and not all these things. Like, what does that process or look like or feel to you? And we talk about releasing this part of the identity. How does that come into your brand story?
Yeah, I think it's so important. Like I want women to just, like, we have such a narrow view of aging, but really it's one of the best things that can happen to us. Like I wouldn't want to not have that. Like none of us get to this phase in life without going through some serious stuff, right? Like none of us get here unscathed. We've gone through it, and like that's created something kind of magic, honestly. Like the resilience that we've gained at this point in life, the things we've been able to grow and let go of and step into. It's exciting. So yeah, I mean, of course, like I want to look young sometimes. Like I like to hold on to that, and that part's tricky. So yeah, I think I just love that idea of becoming something more, of really embracing this phase. It is a transition. It is a time of letting go of things. It's a time where you can say, I've been doing all of this, but it's not going to work anymore. Like I have to let go of these things. Like your body is forcing you to let go of some of these things. And it's such an opportunity to step into something so great.
What are some of the things that you've had to let go of to lean into this new phase?
So a lot of it, I think, is in like motherhood. I've had to really let go of trying to be everything and do everything. That is just so like ingrained in me. And it was like trying to be, I don't think I was intentionally like trying to be perfect, but I was striving for some type of perfection in motherhood that was exhausting. And so I think now I'm looking for something different. I'm striving to be authentic in motherhood. I'm trying to be present. Like I want them to see me as a whole person who's messing up, who's setting boundaries, who's learning, who's apologizing, and who's trying. So I think that's one of the biggest things like I've just had to let go of.
Okay, now let's go to the plot twist in your story.
Yes.
So you really regulated your hormones. Your supplement really worked.
It works. It will regulate your cycle, boost your libido. You'll be feeling foxy again, and then you get pregnant. So, yeah.
Tell me more.
Tell me more. So on New Year's Day, I found out that I was pregnant with baby number 6 after 10 years of not having a baby.
Like that description.
And that is an exciting plot twist. It was just, exactly what I thought would happen. I'd start a perimenopause company and then 4 months into it, get pregnant.
Okay. But you're 7 months pregnant. You're in it right now. So
Yes.
where's your husband's health right now?
So it's better. About a year ago, honestly, we hit probably the very bottom of the well. We hit our lowest of the low, where I think for him and just us, it was okay, we can't keep going. It's just, and he didn't want to. It was at that low of a point where he just didn't even want to do it anymore, Sorry, I can't even talk about this time. It's so hard. But that's when we just honestly threw up our hands. And it's when I stopped being scrappy and I stopped trying to fix things. And that's when everything just shifted. I think we handed it all over to God, or whatever you believe in. We handed it over to God, and we were we're done. We have nothing left to give here. And we started trying different things that just came into our lives. He quit all of the treatment that he had been doing. And then all of a sudden he started feeling better. So it's been almost a full year that we've had him back. Maybe not to for him, he's such an active person, or was before. So for him, it's maybe not to what he was prior, but for us as a family, it's oh, this is living again, we can do this. And so, yeah, we just did all holistic and natural healing modalities, and that's what's ended up working. None of his numbers have changed, but all of the symptoms have changed. So it's we're living and making up lost time and just enjoying it. But it's also still over your head a little bit, we know, oh, we have this baby coming. So it does weigh on both of us, because if he feels any little symptom, it gets in your head and you're is it coming back? How will we do this? So it's better, but it's also still there. Yeah.
And how do you work through that?
I don't know. I don't know. I wish I had answers. I don't. Really, it's just a constant giving up.
Surrender.
Surrender.
That's
Thank you.
That's what I keep hearing in your story. And then you're surprised by the outcomes over and over.
Exactly.
What do you think some of the other treasures are that you've been able to kind of reemerge with?
There's probably been a lot, honestly. And Elle, I think it was you who said this on my podcast. You were our spirits want to heal or soar. I can't remember exactly your wording, but it really did stick with me. And I can feel that. My spirit, who I am, naturally wants to be well. It wants to thrive. It wants to be happy. And I think that this season, it's joy is not easy. It's not just abundant, but it's always there. It's always present, and you can find it in little moments every day. Every day I can find joy, even when we're going through a lot of hard things. And I think each one of us will come out better. I don't know for you, but with kids, teenagers, I want to protect them from all of it, right? I don't want them to have to go through it. As soon as they're feeling it, I'm how can I fix it? How can I get them out of this? But in truth, that's not what I want for them. I don't. It is in going through those things. I think that's the quickest way to change to something better, if you can look at it like that. And so, yeah, I think these are hard things, and we've had to go through them as a family. And we will go through more hard things. Like, this isn't going to be one and done, you know? But I really think like there's so much blessing in it, and there's a lot of joy that can be found in it as well.
I love that. I mean, there's something kind of amazing in what you said about the surrender, about the kind of giving up that then opens you up in a way for those unexpected treasures, and even maybe more than that. Like, I don't know, it's kind of the best news that like the less you control it, the more you can see all of those beautiful moments. Like, does that feel true?
It feels so true, because I'm just a scrappy human. That's who I am, right? Like, I am gonna claw my way out of things and fight. And it has really, all of this has been a lesson in stillness, in surrender. And I think that's probably been the biggest lesson I've learned. And it is in those moments when I do surrender that like you can see the biggest blessings. That's when I can really see like God working in my life and how it's come about.
Do you think coming into motherhood the sixth time around, like, do you think you'll be a different mom this time around?
So yeah, I've had a lot of people who have been like, oh, this is going to be so good. Like, all of this healing that you've gone through, you know, like to get to parent out of that, as opposed to, you know, just when you're young. And I was still like carrying all these beliefs about myself, like untruth things. And I just hadn't worked through everything. I didn't really know who I was or what I believed yet. So to get to parent out of that, like that feels exciting. And yeah, I have 3 teenagers, so I know that there's a lot that is not as important as I thought it was, and some that's more important than I thought it was. So I can definitely take from mistakes I've made along the way, but I think there'll be a lot of letting go. And I've even told them like, hey, do not come at me and compare like, I didn't get to do this. I was like, I know, but it's been 18 years. We are totally different parents now. So yeah, that it will be very different.
Yeah, another transformation for sure.
Yeah. I think a couple things I've learned over the years, like airplane rules apply. Like you've got to put your oxygen mask on first before you can help them. And I just think it's the same way. Like, it's so easy to not care for ourselves. I had started therapy, and I remember one day I was getting ready to leave, and she said, I want you to put yourself on your to-do list this week. Like, you don't have to be at the top. You just need to be on it. And that was such a shift for me to think about it like that way. So that's something I really try to incorporate. And I think a lot of us are like, I'm too busy. But there's time. Like, there is time in your day to make space for yourself. And it doesn't have to be big. But there are things like I can do for myself that do make a difference into how I feel. And then I can parent out of that, which is better for everyone. So a lot of that for me came from like, I had gotten in such a place that I didn't even know, like, who am I? What do I like? What makes my body feel good? Like, those were questions I had not asked or gotten curious about myself in so long. So I started there. Like, I love to be curious. So let me turn it around on myself. And I started asking myself those questions. And then I just started putting a little bit of those into place. Like, it feels good for me to sit down and read for a minute. You know, it doesn't have to be long, but I love to read. can I fit that into my day at some point? And I can, like it's doable. I love to move my body. I was a dancer in high school. How can I do that? So seeking out there was like a yoga dance class that felt really good. And I love to move my body in that way. Can I go to that once a week? Maybe not every week, but I can do it, So, and I think doing those things, getting curious about yourself and starting to apply those, it does change how you mother, because we're not then mothering out of this place of just defeat and exhaustion and survival. All of a sudden now you're mothering out of a space of calm and of enjoyment. So that was something that I think that's been really key for me. Another one, especially for teens, for me, has been learning to regulate my own emotions when they are dysregulated. And that one is difficult. Like, we've already established that I'm a fixer, I'm a doer. So honestly, felt pretty good as a mother when they were young. Like, that was my jam,
You're here to fix. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew what to do and it made sense to me. But now with teenagers, like, it doesn't, everything about it feels triggering to me. Like, it doesn't feel like it hits any of the things I'm most like capable at or confident in. And so when they come to me and they've had something hard or their feelings are hurt, and then I can get so hard on myself, like, you handled that all wrong, like, you suck at this, and really just start to like take myself down on that. So that's something that I've just had to practice and learn. And I still do. Like, I'm not any better at it, but I'm kinder to myself about it. Can I sit with this for a little bit before I respond? Just asking myself more questions in it and trying to be like, okay, they don't actually want advice from me and they don't need me to fix it. That never makes things better. So, can I just stay calm? Like, can I just be at peace while this is happening? And that's a hard lesson to do, but it actually has, I think it's been one of the biggest like changes in my mothering, and it's been the biggest help.
So now with this new baby, I mean, like, does that pull you out of perimenopause? Wait a minute. How does that work?
Well, I don't know the answers, but I'm expecting a bit of a shit show post. I feel like I'm already like gearing up my mind for, oh my goodness, I can't imagine like hormones that would be happening at 42 already, and then plus postpartum. The good news is like, I have a supplement I can take to help. I have more education on it. Like, I'm not just coming into it completely blind. So I think that that's going to help. But yeah, I'm not expecting it to be super easy.
Well, I just have to say that I mentioned this at the beginning of the interview that like maybe like 6 months ago, my cycle changed for like the first time in a decade. Like, no change. I could tell you the day, everything was so consistent. And then all of a sudden, huge shift. And so many of like, I would say what seemed to be pretty typical perimenopause symptoms. This is all at 39. And I'm like, anyway, already like, whoa, okay, great. Can't wait for 40. This is already like you said, like, it's not overnight, but it did kind of feel like it came on hard and fast. So interesting, because then we met and I was like, oh, I'm just going to try this supplement. And within literally, I'm not saying you're claiming this is how it works, but this is what happened to me within one cycle. Like, my next cycle, just completely back to normal. And then for the last however many months, it's been Like it's just totally, and I just got blood work done last week. So I get blood work done like every 6 months. And I was expecting to see, like still some hormone, drop and estrogen and progesterone, something, but everything was like perfectly level. And anyway, it's just pretty cool that you're making this supplement that, at least for me, just has hit just right and has helped me feel so much more regulated, like emotionally, my sleep, just everything. That has been really cool. So what is kind of the future for Not Young? What are you doing there?
Yeah. Oh man. So I have so many like dreams for Not Young. So there's more products. Like there's some other things that I want to target and hit that I know that we can do really well. But also it's really about like what you said. It's building community. It's having women who are like, now they can be aware of what they're dealing with, and then find people who are also having that and feel less alone, because it can feel so isolating when you're feeling like that. So I love that. And then the podcast has been the scariest thing I've ever done, and and also the best. But just getting to talk with such incredible like women and experts and humans, and to learn from them, and then to get that opportunity to share that with other women I feel like I've built something great, and I'm excited to see where it can go.
I think you have too. I'm a believer for sure. I'm really excited to see where you go with this, and especially with this new baby. Like, I just think, I don't know, motherhood gives you always added insight and kind of clarifies over and over what matters, what doesn't matter, our purpose here on this earth, and what we need to surrender to is always. It's always a surrender experiment in that. So I'm excited to see how that like brings you along in your journey, and how it continues to bless the lives of so many women and families. It's really cool.
I love that. Thank you, Elle. I hadn't thought of it like that. I had been like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? But yeah, I like that take on it. Thank you.
I've had so many female entrepreneurs call me over the years, like with each pregnancy, and say like, wait, how do you do this? What does maternity leave look like? How am I going to get through this phase and not just feel like I'm doing a terrible job at both things? And I mean, I think that maybe it's a hard thing to not feel like that at certain points postpartum with the new baby. But also I think it is always clarifying in that if you can approach it with a lot of curiosity, and a lot of grace for yourself, then it actually will make your business stronger, because you just will have to let go of the stuff that you didn't want to let go of before, and you will have to say no way more. And that's generally a practice that almost every woman I know needs to practice more, so including myself. So anyway, I think it'll be good. I'm excited for you. Thank you so much for being here on the show. We'll have some links so people can find you. Anything else that you want to share, or where's the best place for people to find you?
Notyoung.com is where you can learn everything about the supplement, about what it's for, how it's going to help, ingredients, a little bit about, our story and building it. And then, of course, Instagram is where you're going to find the laughs and the community. And then Not Young Better to learn everything. Like, there's just so many amazing episodes on there, yours included, because we get to hear stories from just women who are doing incredible things in a hard season. So I love that. But then there's also experts on parenting and perimenopause and stress and cortisol and just all the things that you could really love to learn in this phase. So check that out as well.
I love it. We will. Thank you, Chelsea.
All right. Bye.